everybody, it's Kathleen, West Coast trainer here with Newline, talking about our advanced whiteboard. Are we ready? This thing is amazing. So we're going to go over all of the tools at the bottom. We're going to start with these three guys over here. So starting all the way over, we have settings. So some of the things that we can change for settings is going to depend a lot about what subject you teach and what kind of things you are passionate about when you're creating your lessons. So with our settings, where it says object recognition and palm rejection, those of you who are maybe kinder teachers, pre-K teachers, first grade teachers, and you've noticed that as your students are writing on the panel, they are dragging their arm, you may want to turn on palm rejection. It will take your ability away to just erase with your palm, but it also won't erase your students' work as they are writing simultaneously. So that's something to think about, how this is going to function best in your classroom. For our default settings down here, you can choose which backgrounds you want to have, what color, what pattern, things like that that you'd like to change on the regular for you. I'm just going to keep mine plain. For my ELA teachers, for your smooth pen default, I like to tell teachers to go ahead and make your smooth pen default red. And then that way you can tap the other end of your stylus on the black and use that as black and then have quick access to your red for that grading. But again, that's going to depend upon what sort of things you teach and how you're going to incorporate that into your classroom. So I happen to love dark navy blue, so I'm going to make mine navy blue. I'm going to press my back arrow. You can do the same thing with your highlighter. And for those of you who do a lot of highlighting with your students on articles and things, I do 10 out of 10 recommend that you change the thickness of your highlighter. You don't want to model for students that you have to highlight something 3 and 4 times because they will do the same exact thing and rip right through that paper. So I would make your default highlighter a little thicker and of course change that to be whatever color you want it to be. I happen to love turquoise. So now I've got my default pens that are going to be navy blue and my default highlighter that's going to be a thicker turquoise. You have your eraser default type as well. I have mine as partial eraser, which means when I went to go swipe things, it's only going to erase a little bit at a time, or you can always change that to be an object eraser so that when you swipe through even just a portion of it, the entire thing will erase. So that is how you go and change your settings. Next up, we have how do we navigate between all the pages we want in our panel. There are a number of ways we can do that. So as we look down here, you can see that there are arrows. So I can tap an arrow just to go to the next page, or I can actually tap on those numbers there at the bottom. And when I tap on that, all of the pages I have in my board will pop up at one time. Let's say I imported something that also has the answer key, and I only want to delete just one page of it. How do I do that? We're going to tap select, tap the answer key or whichever page we want to get rid of. And then down over here, you can see there is a trash can. Go ahead and tap that trash can. Let's say you've imported a PDF and you want 4 different groups to be able to view one page of that PDF so they can each have a nice fresh copy. You could do that as well. Tap down here again where it says select, choose the page you want to make copies of, and then there are 2 little blue boxes. Press that and extra copies will be made for you of that one page that you selected. So that way your students can have access to new fresh copies for each individual group that might come up to your panel. Next up, we have our plus button. We touched on this a little bit in the beginner portion, but just as a reminder, this is how we can either quick add one page just by tapping that plus button one time, or we can make sure we can change our background, press and hold that plus button. Take a look and you can change your color or your pattern. Select whichever pattern works for you and press add, and then that pattern will come in and be part of your whiteboard. Next up, we have our center portion of our bottom menu. All the way over here, it says take a screenshot. You can see there is a camera icon right down here at the bottom. So if your students have done some amazing work, and of course you're never being observed when the amazing stuff happens, you want proof so you can send it to your administrator. Tap that little camera icon. You are then going to be able to shrink down the size of the screenshot, just like you can on your camera. You can just bring that into your whiteboard on another page, so just that portion of your whiteboard will come in. You can also press the download arrow. And remember, if you have connected your drive, you're going to be able to save that right to your drive. Next up, we have our undo and redo. So if I were to be writing on the panel, I can press the undo button and that will go away. And if I go, oh no, I didn't mean to make that go away, I can press the redo button and it comes right back. Next up, clear everything. If you were to tap this, clear everything, everything that's on this page is going to be deleted. All shapes tools, anything that you've brought in photo-wise, all of that is going to be cleared right here. So I'm just going to press cancel. Next up, under erase a little, this little eraser mark down here, you automatically have your palm ready to go and erase. But if you have decided to turn off that palm rejection, you're going to tap your eraser to be able to tap a little at a time. There you go. Lasso and go. When you decide to use the lasso tool, you're going to be able to connect a number of things all together. So let me write some things in here. So if I were to lasso my word hello up here, instead of being 5 separate letters, it's now all together. I can move it around, I can change the color, I can make it larger or smaller, I can make a copy of things and bring in extras. I really like my hello, all sorts of other things that you can bring in with that lasso tool. Your lasso tool is also your selector tool. So if you should happen to tap on a word or tap on a photo and want to change its location, lasso is where you go. Next up across the bottom, we have our shapes tool. Our shapes tool is going to allow you to do a number of things. So let's say you want a Venn diagram, you would press shapes, press your circles, and then you can make those interlocking circles for your Venn diagram, as big or as small as you want them to be. Remember, in order to delete or highlight those, you need to use your lasso tool. Just give it a little swipe through and that will select it, and then you can delete it or change colors as you will. So that's one way to use your shapes tool. You also can make solid shapes. For those of you who wish to make something to click and drag over your example, solid shapes would be how you would do that. Again, we're going to select our lasso tool. Maybe you select an oval and you want it to be blue, and then you want to fill in the square. So that way, when you make those giant things that you want to move around using your lasso tool, you can hide things and reveal them as you wish. Next up, we have our highlight tool. And our highlight tool likes to use the thick end of our pen or our finger, but once you've decided what you want those objects to be, it can be whatever. When you tap on your highlight tool, you can change your shape, you can change your colors, you can have it be whatever you want to be, and then you can highlight through whatever you want to highlight through. Next up, we have our pen tool. You know what pen tools do. You can draw with them, you can write with them, you can change colors with them, all sorts of things that you can do with these fancy, amazing colors. You also have a calligraphy pen, if that's something that should ever float your happy boat. And my handwriting is kind of too flowy for the calligraphy pen, but those of you who are art teachers, I'm sure you could school me. All right, next up, we have this corner of our board. Our little zoom and move, if you tap on the circle with the 4 triangles around it, tap on that, that's what allows you to move things up and down, or even zoom in and make things bigger, or zoom out and make things smaller. Whatever works for you, that is your zoom and move. Once you have created these notes, and now it's time to share those notes with students. Those of you who teach secondary, those students with IEPs and 504s, one of the most common modifications is receives copies of teacher notes. And oftentimes we're handing them a paper copy that they shove in the bottom of a backpack, never to be seen again. Let's save yourself that time and frustration. You can tap the QR code. When you tap the QR code, you can choose which pages you want to share with your students. And then you can choose if you want to share that as a photo file or a PDF. And I always recommend PDF because it is universally openable. Tap that export, and then secondary students can go ahead and take out those Chromebooks or other devices and scan and receive those by themselves. If you should have a group of students, however, you don't quite trust to do that on their own either, or you want some proof that you shared it with them, or maybe even for those absent students. Tap this little share button down at the bottom. Once you tap share, navigate to your drive, and you can save it right to your drive. One of my favorite things to do, under location, tap on my drive. I can then have a folder called shared notes, and you can see I have shared that folder. So I can share this folder with all of those students who have that same modification, with their special ed facilitator, even with your administrator, because those are the people who are going to be getting those phone calls saying, Mrs. West is not sharing notes with my special little baby. And that way they can say, oh, yes, she is. We have proof that she's doing that. So then you'll notice these long file names. This just means they're coming in date stamp order. So you even have a date stamp proof of when you shared those notes with those students. We're going to skip this little blue one and come right back to it. Next to that, it says annotate and keep the whiteboard open. What does that mean? So if I were to tap this reverse arrow with a pencil on it, it's going to take me to the last place I was, keeping my whiteboard tools open, allowing me to write and highlight on whatever I need. And then when I tap again on my whiteboard, it's going to take me right back where I was. Next up, the 3 dots. It's like an ellipses. It's like a meatball sub. It's like a snowman on its side. This is where all of the fun stuff is. So when you tap on those 3 dots, we're actually going to start right over here where it says Canvas. What Canvas will allow you to do is split your panel into 2. And if we're dealing with little bodies like our elementary schoolers, you can also tap up here in the corner and split your panel into 3. One of my favorite ways to use this for an elementary classroom, have handy those Newline classroom tools that are already downloaded to your panel. If I tapped on that little arrows, it's going to turn it into that widget so it can just hang out there whenever. I love to bring in dice. If we're talking pre-K, we can work on number sense in station rotation. If we're talking 5th or 6th grade, we can work on triple digit multiplication in station rotation. Each little friend can choose their own color and they cannot write on one another's panels. And yes, everyone can write at the same time and no one is going to interfere with one another. So let's say this special little friend over here, she is drawing flowers instead of working on her math problems in station rotation. Love that for her. She's so sweet. Baby girl, I love that so much. I love it so much that I'm going to take a screenshot of it and I'm going to download it and save it to my drive so I can have it forever and ever and ever in this special folder called your RTI folder. Yay, right? So that way you can even do your data gathering while your students are doing station rotation without having to interrupt the flow of your lesson, which is super cool. To get out of our Canvas mode, right back at the top, tap our 3 dots and press exit, and it will take us right back where we were. I'm going to turn my classroom tools back into my little widget, just have it hang out in the corner, waiting for me to use it later. Some other really cool things we can do. Let's just bring in some graph paper as an example. And I'm going to zoom in on my graph paper. Our 3 dots, oh my gosh, 3 dots. So next up, we have tools. Some of our tools will include things like your Visualizer app. If you remember from our beginning session, Visualizer controls your document camera, but it also controls your mod cam at the top of your panel, should you have one of those. So while you are doing those math worksheets with your students, you can bring those math worksheets right in. To move those worksheets around, we're just going to tap right here on our lasso tool. That is how we select and move and spin things and all of that good stuff as you will. You also have the ability to bring in a different camera altogether. So let me bring this back up so I can spin it around. So with your mod cam, you're going to tap the front facing, rear facing camera icon. You can shrink that down and move it to the corner, and then you can have eyes on the back of your class while you are writing up here on the panel. And it stays right there as we zoom and move throughout our lesson, which again, chef's kiss perfection, right? To get rid of that, we're gonna tap on our lasso tool again and select it. Again, you can shrink it down even more if you want. And don't forget, in Newline land, if you can't find an X, find a door. So there's no X on this one, so we just find our door and exit right out of it. All right, other things under tools. You have rulers. Now, I don't know about you, but I have no physical capacity for actually drawing straight lines, but I like them. So one of the things that I like to do is just click and drag and highlight in the general vicinity of those highlighted lines, and it will make those perfectly straight lines for me, which is lovely for people who are straight line challenged like me. Tap that little X and I'm gonna zoom up. We have other really great tools down here. We're not gonna go over all of them. One of them is our protractor. So with our protractor, you have 4 different settings. Setting number 1 makes those perfect circles for you, which we have shapes tools for that. So meh. But math teachers, under the plus button, where this little arc is at the bottom, tap the arc 1 time. It will make angles, and it will even tell you what angle you have drawn. Okay, zoom, zoom, zoom. 1 more time, you can make those obtuse angles. Or Pac-Man, again, I'm not judging. Sometimes you just need a little levity in your life. 1 more time, and my elementary teachers or my social studies teachers, now we can work on pie graphs. So we can layer colors, even light over dark, bring in all sorts of other things as you do, and then press that little X. Tap your zoom tool at the end of your lesson and you can zoom out, and then you have a super easy visible representation of everything you just taught during that last lesson. All right, next up in our all the fun stuff, tap down here under add. So many different things we can add under here. You can bring in images either directly from the panel in the file viewer, or you can bring them in from your drive. Text is a text box. So if you're wondering how I got these text boxes up here, you can make your text larger or smaller. You can choose from one of our 7 colors. Just tap on the panel, your keyboard will pop up, and then your students can even tap and input information here to move those things around. Guess what? You're going to use your lasso tool. Tap on your lasso tool to select. You can make the word larger or smaller. You can change the color. You can rotate it or delete it, whatever you'd like to do with that. You also have the ability to bring in sticky notes. Choose whatever color sticky note suits you best. Tap your screen to add your sticky note. And then when you write on your sticky note, turn in on Canvas. You don't have to circle and keep things together. Just tap on that lasso tool and it's all already together. Okay, and again, you can make copies, delete, change the color, whatever you'd like to do. Other fabulous things we can do, and this one happens to be my favorite. You can bring in documents from your drive, or if you have them on a thumb drive, you can bring them in from there as well. So when I tap on documents, it's gonna take me to a folder in my drive that I visit very often. I'm gonna bring in my checks and balances worksheet. Thank you, Junior Scholastic. I can zoom in and out on this. I can write and highlight on it. So let's go ahead and write, say, veto equals no. I can highlight as I wish here. And again, we don't want to make that highlighter too small. Zoom back out and it sticks and resizes automatically with my PDF. Love that. Okay, so that is one cool thing you can do. Math teachers, someone has asked me earlier, so how come I can't have graph paper as my background for this? We got you. Here's what you can do. Tap on your three little dots over here and see where it says search image. Tap search image and bring in some graph paper. So we want to make sure that the image is nice and big. We don't want it to be too small. I like that one. Click and drag it in. Select it using your lasso tool. Move it off of your paper. Make it bigger. Write your whole problem out on this as you wish. So if again, I'm not a math teacher. Math teachers, please forgive me. This is going to look terrible. So 3x equals 4y on your whatever axis. Again, sorry, I know this is terrible. Okay, you can then use your lasso tool, select these things that are together, and you're going to group them together. That means now you can shrink it all down and move it all around. So you can have sticky notes made out of whatever you want. Back at our, but wait, there's more menu. Tap on our little three dots and you can do an image search of anything that you want. So let's say we want to bring in a telling time worksheet. So you can search for things that are going to be great for use with your students. Again, we want to make sure that the photo itself is kind of large. The resolution is large. We're going to be able to tap on our lasso to select, move it around, make it larger, make a copy of it, bring it on in here, and now you have station rotation for your students to be able to come up. Don't forget, you have 20 different points of touch. So if your students are all up here writing, you can have up to 20 of them up here at one time. Let's say we're doing some amazing research with our students and we want them to compare and contrast some like objects. So we can use our circles to make our Venn diagrams. Again, you can use that lasso tool to even them out and move them around as you wish. Coming back to our three-dot menu over here, tap over here. We can bring in that text to have our students title what it is that they're going to compare. So let's say they're going to compare the Raiders. And then over on the other side, maybe we want to bring in some words that we're using. So we're going to bring in the Vegas Golden Knights. We can use that lasso tool to select and move it around. So now we can share those different things, okay? So that's one thing we can do. We can also bring in photos of those things coming back to our three-dot menu. Tap over here, do a Google image search. So let's say we want to bring in an image of the Raiders. When we bring in our image of the Raiders, just tap on it and drag it in. Don't forget, the lasso tool is how we select and move things around. You can also freeze things in place. So if you want your students to come up and interact with the base of things, use that lasso tool again. Make a shape-ish around all the things you don't want them to mess up and connect it and lock it in place. That way, when your students come up and write on things, if they want to say things like winners and lose, oh no, that's not very nice. We're going to erase that. They can only erase the things that they added. They cannot erase the things that you had locked down. So that's really great too. Everyone's favorite. Tap under these three dots one more time. Scroll down once more you can see search web. So now you can do a Google search with your students and model those behaviors you expect of them when they're trying to find information. So if we were to search Las Vegas Raiders coach. So we want to find out who the coach is now, because we go through a lot of them, right? So now you can even bring in this information using a screenshot. Tap, move that all around, press your little check mark, and now your screenshot has also become part of your presentation. But wait, there's more. 3 dots, under search web, scroll down one more, and you can bring in YouTube videos with no ads and no ad banners. So if I were to bring in Vegas Golden Knights at the White House, I'm going to be able to bring in a video from CBS News or wherever. It's connected to my student Wi-Fi, so it's going to be those safe search students. Look at that. I didn't have to watch a 3-minute Grammarly ad to get to a 2-minute video. And I didn't have to see that I've been searching for Caribbean cruise vacations pop up in my ad banners at the bottom. If you want to make that video larger, up at the top, there is this square. Tap your square and it will take over your whole screen. Tap the little squares that come in toward one another to bring it back down. If you were to tap at YouTube at the bottom, it will take you to the browser where you will watch a commercial before you can watch the video. All right, so how do we save these things? Just like always, you have options. So down here at the bottom, we're going to tap on our 3 dots. Under File, Save As, you can tap on Save As. This file name right here is just a date stamp. I would want to make sure that I saved it to something I could recognize, so tap in it. And then we're going to name it Test 1. Press Next. So it is going to save to local because I don't have anything else plugged in that is an external storage device. One of the things you're going to notice, it says, can't use this folder. First time you do this, you're going to need to create a new folder. I would recommend that you name it with something like with numbers in it, so it's the first thing you see. Whiteboard. Lessons. That way it's going to be super easy to find alphabetically, and press OK. Then it'll pop up with use this folder. Tap use this folder at the bottom and allow. Now, where on earth did it go, Kathleen? Oh my goodness. I know it's just too much. Where did it go? Your file viewer. Tap on your file viewer. You're going to look for internal storage because it's being stored inside the panel. Tap on internal storage. Here's my whiteboard lessons. Tap on the name, not the folder. Tap on the name, and then it will pop right in. So you can see there's 12 pages. All 12 of my pages are going to open right back up. So that's way number 1. Way number 2, repeat that same exact process, but use a thumb drive. Remember those things we've been getting at conferences for the last 20 years and throwing away? Not anymore. You're going to take one of those thumb drives and plug it right into the front, and you can save that whiteboard lesson to that thumb drive, which is going to allow you to take it from panel to panel to panel. Way number 3 is to use your phone and log in here prior to creating your lesson. Once you've logged in here and created your lesson, saving to Google Drive is going to be fine. But here's my word of warning. Do not attempt to open that file on any other device. Google Drive just doesn't know what to do with an interactive whiteboard file, and it will corrupt that file. So it can save it, but you can't open it on anything except a panel. I hope you've really enjoyed these whiteboard lessons. Don't hesitate to reach out to me if you have any other questions. Y'all have a great day.